This episode of Lords of the Storm is brought to you by our sponsors over at Patreon, where you, yes you, can also support the show. Just head over to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm to become a patron today.
Heroes, gather tribute and earn my favor. What do you say? Are you ready to begin?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 114 of Lords of the Storm. I'm your host, Greg Gizmozord Parker, and I am joined this evening, as always, by the other Zords themselves, Mr. Kevin Multizord Ellis and Ryan TBK Zord Reader. On tonight's episode, we got a lot of stuff. I got it right that time. I got it right, and I forgot to write an intro, so I just won't write intros anymore.
That's fair. Just roll with
seems
it.
good.
But yeah, we have a lot to talk about tonight. It was one of those weeks we thought it was going to be a slow week. You know, good joke on us thinking that.
Oh yeah,
it's not. We got
There's
plenty to talk
never a
about.
slow week in Heroes.
Yeah,
there really isn't. Like
There really isn't.
TBK and I were chatting about this, and I think was it Monday or early Tuesday when you hit me up and you were like, "Man, I hope we get some details about Diva's kit because otherwise this is going to be a slow week." Nope. Patch, huge patch.
no,
And of
yeah,
course the Diva kit, and it's just there's always just so much.
yeah,
And that's
PTR
something to be thankful
patch
for.
and a balance patch, and then some Reddit drama, some HGC stuff. So we got the whole shebang for you guys this week, only for you all because you're our faves. We enjoy you. But how are you guys?
And every one of you.
Each, except for Skippy the Wonder Chicken. He's a jerk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Calling him out.
he's
on
like
the
he
show.
thinks he can call me out in chat. But little do you know, I can call you out and people hear it, son.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Love you,
Dang.
bud. How are you guys doing tonight, Kevin, Multi? How you doing?
That is how audio recordings work. That's a good fact that you shared there. No, I'm doing good. I am a little busy. Work's kind of gotten crazy lately, but that's totally fine. It's a cyclical thing. But yeah, otherwise, just hanging out, enjoying kind of taking the month off of Hearthstone after the Legend push last month. I mean, I'm still playing some, but it's more of an in-passing thing, and if I feel like it, and not I should be logging a game right now. What the heck am I doing? Type thing.
So you
like last
changed
month
from
was.
incessantly dating to just casual dating.
Yes. I mean, I still love Ungoro. We don't see as much of each other.
Yeah,
Okay.
I gotcha. You're just pulling back a little bit. It was getting a little too serious.
I think that absence will breed more fondness, so it'll be fine.
Make the heart grow fonder.
It'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Okay, that's fair enough. TBK, how about you? How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a decent week so far. We had like a mini crazy storm go through right where I work today, so that was fun. Came out and there was a large branch not super far away from my car, so
it wasn't that bad. Weren't there supposed to be tornadoes? I felt like I got shortchanged.
yeah. I mean, it is Missouri, so
Right.
you love our tornadoes.
It did go
I mean-
from sunny to just black.
Yeah, like
outside
black, complete
to
black.
sunny within like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Mhm.
That's always
Crazy.
good stuff going on there.
But other than freak weather changes, I'm good. Doing good.
That's good to hear. I myself, I'm doing all right too. Work has been wearing me out, but thankfully, and we'll just go ahead and get into kind of what we've been up to in gaming this week. And holy cow! So I've had one of the best sessions of Heroes I've had in a long time today after work. Playing with some more of the Zords, which Sam, you need a Zord battle tag, bud. I don't know what happened to it. But also playing with Swift and TBK for two games. But
The first game went really fast.
Oh yeah. And then the second game, I don't know how many levels we were down, 2 or 3, Cursed Hollow. They had gotten our core down to like 54%, and they still had all their keeps.
All the keeps gone. All our keeps gone.
Yeah, and we were we just couldn't penetrate. We didn't have a healer. They had a hammer, and we weren't able to get back to the hammer. But late game, we just got to where we were like unkillable, and slowly, very slowly but surely, crawled our way back. And then the next game,
3 team wipes.
Yes,
3 team wipes
To crawl back.
Back.
It was just that far
pretty
behind
insane.
on structures, I guess. Then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we had to keep any wipe where we only killed like 2 or 3 people. We had to fall back and just defend our base again.
Those are the best games.
Rough.
Yeah, I think
I know.
We
got
got
so good.
like 1 curse, and they had like 3 or 4. It was nuts. They didn't have 4,
nice.
but and then the next game, we were playing on Brax's Holdout, and we were going up against a Cho'Gall team with an Ariel. And we didn't have a ton of burst damage, just kind of slow sustain. And the first, it seemed like it was going to be a good game. The first objective, we both almost had full power. But they did a mad push with theirs, and in the first wave, got all the way to our core, got our core down to 10% in the first objective phase. And then we were able to hold them off, and then we just went to work and came back and won that sucker, and it felt real good. Once we got our ults and stuff, I was playing Genji. It was game over, man. It's game over. So they got me jacked, and I've just been having a blast. I mean, I've always been having a blast in Heroes, but especially the past couple weeks here. So, TBK, how about you? What have you been up to in Heroes? I'm just going to ask you in Heroes now, because
it's true, because this is all I play anymore. After Mass Effect Andromeda is like I played that for like 20 hours or so, and then I just kind of stopped, and I haven't had a ton of motivation to go back, and it makes me super sad because it's like my favorite series of all time. But I was talking to somebody about that on Twitter today, and I was just like, I want to go back, but I really haven't had the motivation. Maybe if I take some time off and like a long weekend or something, I'll go back and just like hit it again after some patches and stuff. But it's been sad. Heroes has just been taking all my time.
Didn't the story jump the shark after the third one, though?
I don't know. Oh, after the ending for the third one is controversial.
Yeah, I heard, but I don't know much about it otherwise.
All of game 3 was so good that even the mediocre ending couldn't like ruin it for me. But from Hot's perspective, I've been playing a decent amount of Hero League. I've been playing a lot of Team League. I've been playing a lot of Quick Match. Been hitting up. I love the new little progression thing. It's just like, this hero is really close. Oh, cool. Yep. So I'll go play them. And so I've just been playing tons of different things. I picked up my Rhaegar again, dusted him off, and have been just dominating in Hero League with him. He's a blast. And we'll talk about this here shortly, but I have been playing so much of the current Brawl. It is so much fun.
It is pretty fun. Not everyone's a fan, but I do love it. I do love it.
I haven't had, every time I've gotten on to do the Brawls, I've had people be like, hey, you want to play? And it's like, okay, yeah, sure, why not? Multi, how about you? What have you been up to? Not Hearthstoning.
You know, I mean, same kind of deal as TBK here. I find myself wanting to farm out the loot chests, and I love being able to sort and see who I'm going to be able to level next. And, you know, doing so just keeps you playing a variety of heroes as well. And so, like, while I'd like to be playing Hero League and stuff, I still think that the most fun I have in the game presently, anyway, because I'm not really on, like, a consistent Team League team or anything, you know what I mean, is just signing on and hopping in the channel and being like, hey, anyone want a quick match real quick? Check out the list, see, ooh, I'm 6 and some change with Greymane. Let's play Greymane. We haven't done Greymane in a while. And getting in there and doing it that way. And I just think it's diversified my hero pool a little bit more. I'm probably jumping around too much. I'm playing it like I used to play Smash Brothers with a new character each game, you know? So there's that drawback, but I don't know. Like, there's something to be said for just playing a wide range of heroes and just having fun with it. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So... and I'm not like, yeah, exactly. But I'm not also super hard into it for the rewards either, because I'm taking my loot chests and saving them strictly right now. Because, like, there's a lot of stuff I could get right now, but my theory is that it's gonna drop later for me as well anyway. So why not hold off, wait for like a holiday event of some kind that I'm desperately wanting a bunch of skins at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, you know? So
Or
my
some
plan is
awesome
to play the
Diva
long
skins
game.
that are about to be released.
Yes, exactly. So
Yeah, yes,
precisely.
exactly.
Mhm. Mech warrior skins. But anyway,
Oh my
yeah,
god!
I know, right? I know. And there's so many tints to collect now. I want them all. But anyway, so yeah, it's been a lot of fun though. I love just hopping on and seeing who's on and going for it.
Awesome. And you reminded me, I don't know if I had been doing this. I think I started after last week's show, but I made another Smurf. Alt.
Oh, really? Okay.
Alt account. I made an alt account since we have the mega bundles to, again, just try and do the experiment of seeing where my rank ends up. But in doing so, choosing heroes to level up for solo queue, I got back into Greymane, and I hadn't played him in forever, and I am loving him. So I've kind of switched from maining Nazebo and Kerrigan as my two mains to playing a lot of Greymane, Genji, still some Nazebo, and a Nubarak. Seem to be pretty solid, and I'm probably going to be picking up Tyrande again soon. So
Tyrande, my love.
yes, and definitely get some of the skins for her because I don't have many for her, I don't think. But yeah, so it's good times in there. Let's go ahead, hop in TBK. What do we have in the featured items now?
Featured items. Yes, it is the featured items sale instead of the weekly sale these days. And I will again reiterate what I said last week. It feels extremely small for how much skinnage we have in the game now and the different tints. And I would like to see more weekly for gems. But
yeah,
that is neither here, but it could be there. So please, Blizz. Our heroes, we have Samuro, discounted to 375 gems. He's a ton of fun. People don't know how to counter him. You should pick him up. And Vala for 150 gems if you don't have her yet. Also, the Silver Angelic Vala, the Logosh Varian, the Dominion-infested Tychus, and the Ghost Illidan skins are on sale this week for gems. And finally, the Garnet Heartstone mount. Not the Hearthstone mount, but the Heartstone mount. And the Cyberwolf. So if you want to pick any of those up and don't trust in your luck, you can get those this week for gems.
Yeah.
I actually don't know if I have the Cyberwolf. That's random because it's been out so long, but I may have to look into this.
Mm-hmm.
If I have it, I don't ride it around, so maybe I need to change this.
Yes. And also, while we're on topic, I just saw it mentioned in chat, and they reminded me, make sure to log on to different regions, guys, and claim your free mega bundles.
Oh, yeah?
I think we mentioned that before, but I did mine for EU this last week, so hopefully...
I didn't do it for the Asian side.
I haven't yet. Yeah. But I haven't.
I did it for the EU side.
I know we
I'd
have.
see the harm in doing it.
Yeah, I know we have listeners from the Asian region, so I'll do that for sure as well. But it'd be nice to get over and play with some of you EU folks instead of you having to come over and deal with our ping all the time.
Let us deal with the ping.
Suffer. Yep.
For once, yes. although, and Sardonic, and we'll talk about Lords of Lane 6 later. But Sardonic did fantastically on EU ping.
He did.
I was very impressed.
Absolutely. But yeah, so okay, what bundles did you guys go with on the other regions? Because did you change it up or did you stick with something you're comfortable with?
Well, I didn't. On my alt account and EU,
yeah.
I did flex. Because those guys
just to get
have
I did the tank bundle.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't decided yet. I mean, it's not a huge deal either way, but maybe it would affect how you'd play on those different realms. So
yeah, that's true.
It could be something to it. Mm-hmm.
All right, Smolty, what do we got for the free hero rotation this week?
Oh, we've got a lot of them. We've got Malfurion and Vala. They tend to stick together. We've got Gazlo, Johanna, Thrall, Dahaka, my man Arthas, Brightwing, Greymane, Sergeant Hammer, Tracer at account level 5, Alarak at 10, Samuro at 15, and Cassia at 20. So I want to point out that, we've got Tracer in here. So further incentive for people coming over for Nexus Challenge 2.0 to try out another Overwatch hero, see what they think about it in this game. I hopped on the Cavalry this past week, week presently, to kind of let them know how I thought about the people that just come over and just drop games intentionally. We could get into that in a second here. But my point is, if you're coming over from Overwatch and you're checking this out for the first time, just try Tracer out, see how she feels. At least you'll be able to, like, see how her kit translated over. Because, honestly, it's the first one that they did, and it's a pretty good port over, even now. So, yeah, that'd be my recommendation for those folks. And if you lose a little bit because she's a little tough to play, then I'll remind you, she's also a little tough to play in Overwatch. So they kept that part of her flavor.
For sure. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into the news here. All right, so first up, the Nexus Challenge 2.0 is continuing. It is week 3, and for this week's rewards, you get in Heroes the Overwatch Nexagon mount, which is pretty neat. Officer Diva banner, badge spray, Officer Diva portrait, and then in Overwatch you'll get the Officer Diva spray and the player icon. And this is, again, 5 games with a friend in quick match, unranked or ranked. So any mode except for AI. Easy to do.
Yep. And brawls.
And brawls. Correct.
Yeah,
and
that's a good
customs.
point. Essentially, they're just trying to make sure that you're playing with people, with a friend, against people.
Other people, yeah.
So which totally makes sense.
Yeah.
The Nexagon mount's pretty cool.
It is.
It is.
It
is. I feel like this week's the least exciting for Overwatch players, but I mean they have to get through it to get to that week 4 with all the actual. That's
a huge one for Overwatch.
The big payoff is worth week 4, yeah, for Overwatch specifically. So and Heroes, but yeah. So, I could see them thinking of this as a slight lull if they're just strictly Overwatch. But man, our rewards, that Nexagon mount, super cool.
Yes, indeed it is. Also, some interesting stuff here, and something I had kind of experienced and thought, but apparently a ton of people have been feeling this way, and I'm sure you guys have as well. Blizzard is apparently going to be making changes to Varian's quick match rules. It was brought up on Reddit that people are concerned because right now he's kind of in the bruiser role, and anytime you do not get a warrior and the other team gets a Varian, well, they're probably going to go a tank build, and it's a pretty big disadvantage, and it doesn't feel great. So they're taking a look at that. Or for sure, going to be making him back to warrior, because then that gives the option of, if it's the solo warrior, he can go tank build, but if they get 2 warriors, then they can still do what they want, which I think is the right choice there.
It's a sucky choice, but it is the correct choice.
Well, and
that's sucky that we have to make the choice.
Yes, it's sucky. That's just the way Varian is built, right? It's extremely hard to classify him unless you put him up against another Varian every single time,
which would be lame.
So in this case, you have flexibility, yes, but the problem was beforehand, if the other team got a Varian and yours didn't, you had 0 way to deal with that from a perspective of preparing or just being able to deal with it in the game. Whereas now you will have a way to deal with that. Even as a Varian, you can choose not to go tank if you're the only one, but you have that flexibility still. It may hurt your team a little bit, but at least this way, your team won't be at a disadvantage from the get-go.
Yeah. And
so I mean, it's sucky, but you can queue in with a friend as another warrior to make sure you have one, or I mean, you can do whatever the heck you want.
Yeah, that's true.
It might
but
disadvantage your team a little bit, but I think this is probably for the best, just for an overall experience. So instead of 5 people getting screwed over, that at least now you have the potential to be able to go tank v tank.
Yeah.
Instead of no opportunity at all.
I would think
that's true.
Well, and they wouldn't do this anytime soon because Varian is the only multi-class we have right now. But it would be neat if at some point when we have a lot of multi-class, if they're going to continue to go in that direction, if whenever you're queuing up, you could kind of select which role you are intending to go, to have that factor in. But then at the same time, then you run into I'm going to game the quick match system, and I'm going to pick Varian and select Assassin, so we go up against no warriors, and then
the problem is it's a pick that happens in game.
Exactly.
So there's nothing Blizzard matchmaking can do about your level 10.
Yeah.
You could state your intent ahead of time, but I would think you should have the freedom to change it, you know? Like, I mean, if you queue in and there is another full warrior and you want to do the Colossus Smash build or something, you should just do it, you know? So, yeah, I mean, that'd be my only problem with that. But I kind of like the idea of the whole stating the intent of your role before hopping in, just in general.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But, I mean, in the end, it's quick match, guys. It's
sure. We're actually going to cover this topic a little bit later in a listener question that's sent in, and it's something we talked about a little bit, but it's something we're going to reiterate because it's a potentially very good fix for the quick match type system. So we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Indeed. All right, so Multi, I'm actually glad you posted this article. We talked about this kind of a little bit on Convert to Raid last night, but I didn't have any of the heroes info, so why don't you go ahead and take us through that?
Gotcha. Okay, so there are some laws in China currently, and it's actually shed some light on something very interesting. So over in China, if there's a company that puts out any sort of good that has an RNG chance as to what you're receiving in it, in this case, loot chests or, like Hearthstone card packs, that sort of thing, by law, they have to divulge the actual rarities of the items within your purchasable item. So from this, we got the actual hard numbers on, and we'll link an article in the show notes and everything, of course, to this PC Games N article about it that breaks it down for you. But it's a breakdown of some of the stats regarding like how often you can expect to receive rare items, epic items, legendary items within Heroes of the Storm, and actually Hearthstone and Overwatch. So kind of interesting to compare them here. So just a quick look at Heroes of the Storm. Of course, rare items should occur in every box, but then epic items should occur every 4.5 boxes on average, or 22.2% of the time, repeating, of course. And then legendary items should occur every 17.5 boxes on the average 5.7% chance there. So... And we'd kind of talked a little bit about this just in abstract, about how the Heroes of the Storm chests felt a little more generous than the other games. There's some truth to that, but it's not too far off. I'll let you guys compare all the numbers as you check it out. But yeah, and it's just interesting to check out. And I love it how one country's laws kind of shed light on this for everyone else.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to me.
Absolutely. And then... yeah, and I think the generosity also goes along with like it's just a ton easier to get loot boxes and heroes.
And that's most of it. But
yeah, it's a really interesting fact. I mean, a lot of this stuff had, especially in the other games, Heroes 2.0 hasn't been out super long, so I at least hadn't seen any posts. But people had kind of data mined, just taking information, and they got pretty close on the other games. So
yeah, they did.
Some cool stuff out there. Now for this week's brawl that we were talking about, which is Checkpoint Hanamura. And this is a legit payload, still on a not legit payload map. But, I don't really care. That doesn't bother me. But apparently...
Overwatch is going to come out with a Hanamura payload map now.
Yeah, it bothers some people out there. They should do a arcade mode just to make people angry. Like I said, I haven't played this yet. I keep hopping in to try and do it, but I get sucked into another mode. So, Multi, have you gotten a chance to...
I have, and the cool thing about it is that they've also taken it to the next step to try to make it feel as much like an Overwatch match as possible, even going so far as they have sound files from Overwatch that they've brought up. Like, I did one of the defense side games, and it's like, prepare your defenses, in the exact same voice, has a lot of the same initial music to it and all that. So it's pretty cool in that sense. There are health packs around the level as well, which are totally there on the minimap, but I don't feel like at least my team was using them as well as they could have in that game I'm citing. But yeah, so, and they work kind of like they do in Overwatch. You step over it and it gives you a decent chunk of your health back. So, but yeah, so it's kind of there is the issue where on the defense side, as you resurrect at the very end, so like the very last leg of the payload being pushed in, the spawning point is really close to where you're actually trying to turn that in. So even in this game I was just talking about, where we were kind of getting stomped, we still held that last point for quite some time because we just kind of rezzed, walked out, held it some, died, rezzed, walked out, held it some in kind of a chain. And it wasn't good. Like, we weren't pushing them back either. We were kind of getting out comped, though, let's face it. But it took a while. So yeah, I mean, I've not encountered it myself, but I've heard of really long holds on the end there going on. And it's because the death timers are so short. I think they're again trying to simulate Overwatch in that sense too. But it's super interesting. I mean, I just like the new flavor, and the games are quick, so can't complain about that in my mind. So I don't know.
For sure. And let's take a quick look at the rules here, actually. So it is a shuffle pick, so it'll give you the three heroes to pick from. With the reduced death timers, it's 9 seconds or 12.5 in overtime. No talents, no levels. You get your heroic ability. They're pumped up health packs, so it's actually going to give you 50% of total health and mana. And then, of course, it does have the checkpoints there. So, and again, this is it 2 matches or 3 for this one to get your loot box? 3? Interesting, because the site says 2, but I thought in game it said 3.
Yeah, it is 3.
I think it's 3 in game, yeah. So. But they are fairly quick. I mean, unless you really stalemate and stagnated out, I guess. But I mean, it's action packed the whole time. It's a constant fight. So
yeah, I've done like 15 of these.
Oh dang!
Because they're super fun. And it's funny because there's a bug after you do the third one that pops up that says you get a loot chest every time you finish a game after the third one too, but you don't get an extra loot chest. It's just a tease.
Just giving it false hope.
I know, it made me feel sad. There's a lot of strategy to this, actually. I've actually won my first 5 in a row that I played, 2 on offense and 3 on defense. And I will definitely admit it's probably a little bit harder for the offense to win.
Just because of that issue at the end, or across the board?
A lot of it is the issue at the end. I would like to see death timers tick up maybe a few more seconds, or potentially just have the spawn point for the defense back just a tad further.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so that they actually because it is literally almost like right on the thing, which I've played Overwatch some, and I don't think any of the payload maps have the last spawn point that close.
There's a little bit of that action in Overwatch, but it's not to this level for sure.
No, it's definitely not to this level.
Was it the Gibraltar or whatever is super close?
Yeah,
and
there might be 1 or 2.
Right.
But I mean, overall, it's an incredibly well ported over payload mechanic from Overwatch. You've got 2 points where you can get extra time, which is really cool. People don't use the health packs enough. They're incredible, and they're super strong for both offense and defense to keep pushing.
I had people thinking they were just playing ARAM and not using them at all, and just kind of like staying at a third health.
They are so needed.
So
that is a huge strategy.
Question: do the health packs work like in Overwatch, where it only heals a single target, or does it? Okay,
only heals a single target, and then you see a little timer going while it respawns, so you'll know exactly when the respawn will end if you have vision of it, which is pretty cool. One thing I also noticed is it's much better because the death timers are so short, especially if you're on offense, to not just stagger back in.
Oh yeah.
Unless you're like the only person that died or one of 2 people that died. It's much better to wait a few seconds and then all 5 go push back in. A lot of the offense losses were because people just ran back just singly, and the defense just
Yeah, I was about to say, that sounds exactly like Overwatch.
So yeah, there's a lot of strategy to it, and I said, other than maybe making the death timers not much, but maybe a few seconds longer, or moving the spawn point for the defense back just a tad, I think it's perfect. And I've definitely won on both. It's totally possible to win, because I've won several times, both on offense and defense. But overall, I don't think I've ever played, other than maybe the Punisher Brawl, I don't think I've ever played a Brawl for fun as much as I have this one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. What I kind of want to see, though, is I want to get a crack at this without the shuffle pick. Like full-on character selection, maybe just bring this up in custom games or something. I don't know. It could be super fun to like actually pick a comp and try to like find a strategy that works. I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll ever do or add into custom matches being able to select, like, have a rotation.
We need a custom game creator that kind of mirrors a little more of the Overwatch one, that allows us to pick and play any old brawls.
Yeah.
Just as a custom. We need more. Again, we need more map options. I would love to see them update the sandbox mode with more options sometime soon. Like, there's so much they could do with custom games. Yeah. And it feels, I guess it just hasn't been priority or something recently, because it feels like they could do a ton of stuff without a huge amount of effort.
Makes sense.
And then that would really just be kind of nice. It's like, yeah, that Hanamura Brawl, let's do that for funsies, or for a tournament, or for a special event or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm guessing everything's kind of been put on the back burner compared to Heroes 2.0 and its launch and preparation and everything. Sure. But now, I mean, they should have more time, right? What else are they doing? Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. They don't work over there.
Nah.
All right, so Monday, the Diva PTR patch actually dropped, kind of surprising. And so we got to hop in and try her out. There were some other changes we'll get to in a minute. But first and foremost here, I think it's worth saying she plays kind of how I thought she would, but at the same time, not at all. I think she's the biggest deviant from the Overwatch version of the character.
Oh, no question.
Coming over to Heroes, but still really interesting. And the biggest thing that we were off on was her ultimate. We were assuming was going to, of course, be self-destruct. Well, that is actually a basic ability. And I say basic ability, but it's pretty much an ultimate. It takes
right.
It's a fairly long cooldown. And then as well, her Q's, boosters, W's, defense matrix. Our other big question was, how is defense matrix going to work? I am a dummy. And so what it does, it casts like a little polygonish type thing, area of effect on the ground, and instead of it absorbing damage or anything like that, it's actually it decreases the damage done by heroes in the defense matrix by 75%. I, for my first 2 matches playing her, thought that it decreases damage to my heroes that are in the defense matrix by 75%.
Not like, just the enemy ones.
Yeah, so I was like, oh crap, this thing isn't working. So that's a very different thing, which is interesting. Boosters is the Q, which I already said. She has a mount, but also doesn't have a mount. You can only mount up in pilot form. In mech form, you move slower, but you can shoot while you move. And then the heroic ability is Bunny Hop, is hilarious and awesome. And this is in mech form. You stomp every half a second for 4 seconds, dealing 40 or damage and slowing enemies by 40%. And then Big Shot, which is a pilot mode ult, where you deal damage to all enemies in a line, and call mech's cooldowns reduced by 8 seconds for each enemy hero hit. So I was a little... I thought when they announced this that it was just going to be like one ultimate, and it varied based on what form you're in, but you actually have to select it.
Right.
Which is interesting. To kind of pick between, I don't know, mech and pilot, because obviously pilot's supposed to be her weaker form. Did you guys try Big Shot at all?
Oh yeah,
I've only really gotten to play her in try mode so far. I've had quite the busy week, but I don't know. I feel like one of those two is gonna outshine the other pretty strongly. Because although it would be good to get back into your suit quicker, and Big Shot seemed to do some damage, I don't know. Bunny Hop, the unstoppable frames, as well as putting on the slow, like, I mean, if you're gonna be getting in there tanking, isn't that what you want?
It depends on the talent build you go, honestly. Diva is not a main tank. She is not a main tank at all.
Sure.
She is a bruiser. She has 0 CC outside of a little bit of slow in that bunny hop ult.
The pushback with the boosters is kind of not a CC, but a displacement.
Yeah, but it's not. She's not a main tank though.
Right.
Yeah.
Not in any way. She's a lot of fun. She's definitely a fantastic secondary tank bruiser. She has huge damage potential, depending if you can get team lockdown for her self-destruct. Or, I mean, not just that. You don't have to hit anybody. It's huge zoning potential. I mean, it's a gigantic area of effect. I've been trying several builds out with her, and there's a mech build I really like that does take her pilot form ult, which is really good. It's all about increasing the mech and getting that mech back faster after you use it, or after you lose it, I guess. And and it's interesting too, because killing her mech is only 50% XP, and then the pilot is the other 50% XP.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to just frivolously die in the suit then.
Correct.
No, you definitely don't want to just frivolously die. But at the same time, it's not the end of the world if your suit does die. From a team perspective, too, you have to be ready, because when the mech goes down and Diva pops out, if you actually want to fully complete the kill, you have to have some sort of either like movement speed or CC ready or something to lock her down. The pilot form is fairly fragile, but she actually does surprisingly decent damage.
Yeah.
In pilot form, just from her auto attack. She doesn't get the attack move anymore. She has to stutter step still, but it is fairly significant damage, especially if she does go with the big shot ult.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's incredibly well put together. I think she'll have probably a few decent builds. I've kind of almost already landed on one that I've been using a little bit, but I can't wait until she goes live. I think I feel like she's very strong in her current form.
Mm-hmm.
And
seems like it.
Self-destruct does silly amounts of damage. And it kind of, I believe it's more damage the closer to the suit you are.
Yeah, it is.
And less damage further off. So it's going to be extremely hard to actually get someone to stay right next to the suit for the entire time. Although I foresee some pretty sick
Boost.
Void Prison.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Void Prison uses
Void Prison,
to lock down for the explode. Yeah, or
Mosh pit.
whatever.
Mosh pit. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a few things that could be comboed to lock down for that full effect on the explosion that could be absolutely ridiculous. So it'll be kind of cool to see some pro play when that comes out. And the other cool thing that I've been playing around with is her suit is somewhat interactable with. So at least as of now, like Stitches can hook it. Stitches can gorge it. It still blows up, but he can gorge it.
The suit as it's flying out for the self-destruct?
Yeah, if it's on the ground, or I mean even moving, because you can do the combo, so you can Q with your boosters, then hit E. Your suit will continue moving in the straight line, and then you can cancel it and drop it where you want by hitting Q again.
Kind of solving the arc problem that you can do in Overwatch.
Exactly. And so it does allow you to kind of position it. It does half damage to buildings, so it's not necessarily the best, like, just I'm gonna siege this and try to do a ton of damage to buildings, which that was really smart of them, I think, to do it like that. But there is some really cool interactables with other characters. And so, like, Stitches on the ally team can actually use Helping Hand to pull it
Oh,
That'd be
interesting.
big.
And so I foresee, and I don't know
It'd
if
be tough to
all this
pull
will
off,
stay, but I could foresee setting it somewhere, pulling it in right before an explosion
Mm-hmm.
to
Oh, setting it in like a bush or somewhere they can't even see.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that could be
Yeah.
fun.
And then pulling it in, because I don't know. I mean, I haven't paid attention to if you put it in a bush, does the enemy team still see the
sound.
the circle
Yeah.
and the sound kind of going out? I honestly don't know. I'd have to test that out. But there's definitely a lot of really interesting combos
Mm-hmm.
with a few other heroes that could potentially use this to a much bigger capacity rather than just catching somebody on the edge or just as a zoning tool.
Yeah, and it's going to be, I mean, not only damage, but it's amazing for zoning. I mean, it's going to make boss captures so much easier because the time on it's so long that if you space it right, the other team's not going to want to get in to try and cap it. Otherwise, they will most likely all die. One of the Tatva last time on the show was talking about a combo he was excited about, which was actually going big shot, and then so a mosh pit with the self-destruct, and then big shotting in a line. So I don't know
Just
how
to
much
keep
damage
following up
big
with
shot
damage?
does. Yeah, but just kind of a big wombo combo there. I think she's probably, and I've only played a few games, but at this point my first impression is she's going to be one of the higher skill cap warriors.
I could see that just
For sure.
even from what I've seen.
Yeah, and the booster self-destruct combo is not easy for me. Granted, I was going the increased speed on boosters, which probably made it a little bit harder to control. But I feel like, yeah, we're going to see some pretty crazy stuff in there.
Defense Matrix is also a really interesting talent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's completely, I don't think we expected it to work the way it does.
No,
But
it's a
seeing it now does make sense that they did it that way, because they probably would have ran into the same problem that they had with Genji
mm-hmm.
and his deflect.
Right.
And so they're just heroes fying it. And it locks your mech in position when you cast it. You can cancel it early if you want.
Well, you can
But
move,
it locks your mech into that position so you can move up and down and over, but you can't actually turn.
Right. Mm-hmm. So it's super key as to where you place it.
Exactly.
I think it kind of answers some questions as well, because the question always with Defense Matrix, with Reinhardt's shield, was, I mean, are we really going to be blocking all abilities, all incoming damage like they do in Overwatch? And in this case, no. Something that should block literally everything is just reducing damage by 75%. And I think, yeah, that's a heroesified, elegant enough solution. I'm wondering if Reinhardt's shield down the road somewhere is going to be similar to that somehow.
I was kind of thinking about that the other day, especially when this came out. And I feel like you could probably do Reinhardt's shield with specific scenarios. So say any actual skill shots that shoot out, Reinhardt's shield
totally.
blocks.
Mm-hmm. But
Flame
auto
strike,
attacks get in.
but Flame Strike doesn't.
Yeah.
Auto attacks would be, if they're ranged, would be blocked. If they're melee, they wouldn't be.
Mm-hmm. I'm guessing this would be super hard to code, but it makes sense.
And it would be directional. So you'd put your shield out, and your shield would last for 3 or 4 or 5 seconds or whatever, and you could kind of turn if you wanted to. You couldn't attack while your shield was on, so you could throw your shield up as a BFG or something is charge is coming in, or
Pyroblast.
a pyroblast. It's something like anything that's shot, but a flame strike or stuff you put, or roots or stuff you put on the ground could still get under it.
Huh.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
So that's kind of how I envision it.
I'm gonna make a crazy Reinhardt prediction here. He's not gonna have mana. Instead, he's gonna have a mana type bar-ish that is for his shield, and you can have that up, and it's just gonna be like a shield health bar to where that shield can take a certain amount of damage. Yeah, like it is in Overwatch. And then it slowly, goes back.
Regens.
Yeah, slowly regens.
I think that would make perfect sense.
And if it goes all the way down, then it goes on like a fairly decent cooldown.
The
So-
shield would have to be much weaker than it is in Overwatch, because you don't want to just be sitting there through a giant group fight.
No, yeah, like
blocking
much
everything
lower.
for
Like
20 seconds.
You block if you
But-
block the pyroblast, it's gone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh well, of course.
Type
But I
thing.
mean, like a couple Li Ming shots and then something else, maybe. You know, yeah. There's a way to do that. I like it.
But yeah, so if you guys haven't gotten a chance to try it out, definitely suggest doing so. It's definitely the most interesting port over, I think. So as far as the other changes, there are some big ones coming. I think the only one we're really going to hit on as far as PTR patch notes is Tyrande here, because we also did get a balance patch where some of these actually came over today.
Greg, don't be missing things. There's some big ones in this besides just Tyrande.
Okay.
But he looked right at Tyrande.
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 Yes, we have, of course.
We don't want to skip our cool new welcome bundle,
That's true.
which is coming, because this is pretty sweet. It's a you have to buy with real money, but it contains 800 gems, a welcome loot chest that guarantees at least one hero, a rare loot chest, an epic loot chest, 7-day stim pack, and a new zebra mount.
Yes.
So it's not a zebra. It's a zebra.
It just says a zebra.
Is it a pleb
Not a-
horse dressed
not a-
up as a zebra?
I imagine
I
it's
hope
a zebra
so.
without the armor.
Maybe.
Could be, and maybe just black and white.
Or maybe
I mean,
like-
I'm down either way. Honestly, if it's a decent value, this looks all right even for me.
I want.
Yeah.
I hope it has a color tint. It probably will just be a single color, but it'd be cool if it had a color tint. Did you guys ever have that gum when you were younger that was the zebra with the different
Yes,
colors?
zebra
So it was-
striped gum.
Yeah.
Fruit striped gum. That was it.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
I want that for sure.
I think they still
Also-
sell it. Anyway,
They probably do. Also, a long-standing complaint has been fixed in this upcoming PTR. Using your Hearthstone will no longer automatically snap the camera back to the Allied Hall of Storms, unless camera lock's enabled.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's finally is in there.
So that's a huge thing,
hmm
because that could be really annoying at times.
Yeah, that was
For sure.
annoying for me even when I played with camera lock, which I don't anymore. But
I'm so proud of
because
you.
I liked
I'm so
scouting
happy.
the
It's like you
areas.
graduated.
It's so good. Okay, so there's a few big things on the PTR that didn't go live today.
Yeah, the Alarak, Dahaka, and Tyrande.
Alarak is huge. Tyrande is massive, and Alarak or Dahaka is moderate. Did any of you guys get to play with any of these three?
No, I just played Diva on the
Okay.
PTR.
So
Either.
I actually jumped in on Monday and got to play with Heroes of Fitness, Tim and Nicole, for several games as we were testing out all the new stuff. Alarak feels so much better. Because I did not like Alarak before at all.
hmm
It's just not my play style. He's kind of got a singular-ish build path. This changes everything completely. They reworked how his sadism works. His sadism is now basically gathering power,
Mhm.
which is pretty crazy. They redid almost every single talent he has. It's absolutely insane. I can't even go over all of them, but there's a few that are really cool, functionality wise. Like a level 4 called Chaos Reigns. So it's a quest talent. If you hit 15 enemy heroes with Discord Strike, it increases Discord Strike's damage by 60. If you hit 2 enemy heroes with Discord Strike in a single cast, it also increases Discord Strike's damage by 60. If you hit 3 enemy heroes with Discord Strike in a single cast, it increases Discord Strike's damage by 60 and completes all the quests on this talent automatically.
Wow.
So we've never had a quest talent do that type of thing before.
Oh no.
It's a brand new functionality. And we're starting to see some quest talents that actually scale infinitely. I mean, there's one on his level 1, the lightning one. If you hit 5 enemy heroes with the center portion of lightning surge, you increase the range by 20%. If you hit 15 with the center portion, enemy heroes hit with the center portion are slowed by 50% now. And then if you hit 3 enemies with the center position in a single cast, you gain 10 sadism and complete all the quests on the talent. So
just straight up.
It's like if you're more skilled, you can get power bumps earlier type thing almost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or get lucky.
Or if the enemy team stacks a lot. But yeah.
But yeah, it's just really, really cool. There's so many like new things. Like there's a new talent on level 13 that's an active called Rite of Rockshear. You activate it to mark an enemy hero, and it marks them for 300 seconds. And using Discord Strike on your marked target increases your sadism by 3%, and it can increase up to 130%. It starts at the base level's 100, and so you can get 30% extra sadism or ability power. And if you kill the enemy hero that's marked, it gives you 6% bonus to sadism and sets the cooldown of Rite of Rockshear to 10 seconds. And dying removes all bonuses from the talent. So just like Gathering Power, his new talent, anything above that 100%, if you die, you lose it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. So, I mean, there's just so much cool stuff. And like Last Laugh, because Last Laugh used to be this huge teleport, and it just cleared all status effects on you and put you at 1 health. Right. It was basically get out of jail free card, but then you're worthless type thing. So now they increase the cooldown to 30 seconds. They decrease the range by 15%, but when you activate it, it removes all root slows, damage over time effects, and teleports you to the chosen location. After 4 seconds, it reduces Alarak's health to 1. So you keep whatever health you had before you used it for 4 seconds. But if Alarak damages 3 enemy heroes with basic attacks within 4 seconds, after teleporting, the health is not reduced.
Oh, so you can super risk your life.
Yes.
To try to get out of that. That's very interesting.
And have a built-in 30-second bolt. If you can pull off the requirements.
That's dangerous.
That is dangerous stuff. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, not just like teleporting in to get, 3 hits from basic abilities, but
presumably you could get a shield before that, though.
Back in the game. Yeah.
Time it out, throw some shields on, let it run its course, and then just dash in, get the hits off, and get back to where you were. It's super interesting. Like, all of this stuff is super interesting, and I just have to say really quickly that at the media summit, Kent-Eric Hagman got up there, and he was like, oh, there might be some changes to Alarak coming, maybe to his sadism. Oh, wait, I've said too much.
Yeah.
Clearly, he did not say enough, because what he meant to say was, oh, yeah, we're redoing his entire talent tree, introducing entirely new concepts of how to even think about quest talents. Like, this is nuts to me. I love it, though.
And it gets even crazier when you look at Tyrande now. Because as I was talking about this on Twitter Monday, they're basically giving us 3 new heroes with this patch.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, it's Diva and this sweet new hero called Alarak and this really cool new hero called Tyrande. It's kind of cool. Great job, Blizzard. Way to give us 3 new heroes. We've never gotten that before. Nice. So Tyrande is super interesting because it almost feels like she has a supporty type build that you can go, but it almost feels like they're moving her into, she's an assassin with some support stuff now.
Which is super interesting.
It's crazy
on its own. But yeah, anyway, go on.
So they're changing some of her and this is cool, and I don't think other than Butcher's trait, I don't think we have this type of thing yet. So Sentinel, they're building a quest into the base ability of Sentinel, where every time after you hit 8 heroes with Sentinel, it allows it to pierce 1 additional target and lowers its mana cost by 10. Every 8 heroes, and this is just built in.
Yeah.
To the base Sentinel.
So not having to... It's going to be interesting because it's going to feel...
There's no piercing talent anymore.
Yeah, it's just going to be... 8's going to feel like a lot at first, so you want to be using your Sentinel a lot, but once you even get 1 piercing, then that's going to start
it'll
going
start
crazy.
stacking up. For sure. And then Light of a Loon, they changed completely. Because it used to, you heal somebody else and it heals you. Well, they moved that functionality over to Neuther. New Earther.
Neuther.
I love this term for it.
Yes. We are going to be doing a Hero of the Week, hopefully next week on him. As long as
it's a slow week.
As long as nothing stupid, ridiculous happens.
Or even a moderate week, we could pull it off. Not a week like this, but yeah.
But it no longer heals you when you heal allies. But now the cooldown for it is lowered by 2 seconds every time you land a basic attack. The heal amount was reduced, the cooldown was increased, and the mana cost was reduced. So now it actually encourages you to be aggressive and be attacking people to heal more, which is super interesting. She lost sprint, so rip sprint. I don't know if she was the last one that had sprint. She might have been. This might just be the sprint death knell.
Yeah, I can't.
It
think
wasn't
of any other.
super old on her, but yeah.
Yeah, but Shadowstalk is now getting changed a bunch. It has new functionality. So Tyrande gains stealth and 30% movement speed. When stealth is lost, she keeps her movement speed and gains 50% attack speed for 5 seconds. And this is going to be on a 30-second cooldown.
Can be a finisher.
So no longer a healing ult.
Right.
Which is interesting, or a team-wide stealth. So that's kind of interesting. And then I have to hit on her level 1 talents because they changed all of these as far as like the functionality. So her Ranger's Mark, her quest for level 1 Ranger's Mark, basic attacks lower the cooldown of Hunter's Mark by 1 second. And then for every 60 basic attacks against heroes, you increase the duration of Hunter's Mark by 1 second. And that's an infinitely scaling quest.
That's awesome.
So that's pretty crazy. So you could make someone vulnerable for theoretically a long time, which is pretty crazy. Lunar Blaze, your E talent for level 1, is a quest now. Every hero hit by Lunar Flare increases its damage by 3%. That's infinitely scaling. After you hit 10 heroes, you remove the mana cost of Lunar Flare completely. After you hit 20 heroes, you increase its range by 40%. So again, more stuff that just rewards you playing the character better. Which is really interesting, that they're kind of shifting this philosophy in quest talents to where if you're okay, you can hit you can get some bonuses because you get that 3%. Maybe you hit the 10 heroes, you remove the mana cost. That's cool. But if you're really good and if you're on point landing those, you can be racking up the damage on that, remove the mana cost, and get extra range.
I will say the one worrisome thing about this kind of system, I love it, but it's going to make it kind of tough for them to balance out between professional players who can take advantage of these, especially on things that do not have limits on them, versus then it's feeling really weak for players that aren't good at them. So you kind of got to watch out. They need to be careful on not making it unplayable.
Be better at dodging, right?
Yeah, but
in theory.
in theory. But they need to be careful to not make this hero just not worth playing for low skill players. But
sure,
again,
that's why there's stuff built in. I think because you have that base built in. Even if you took that talent and you didn't end up hitting 10 heroes, you're still getting a damage increase every time you do hit. So you're getting a little bonus. But I think they're wanting to reward skill in some of these talent picks, which is really interesting. I'm excited to see how it kind of turns out.
And honestly, Tyrande was never exactly an easy hero to play in the first place, kind of. I mean, you had to be able to land the tiny stun, and I mean, she wasn't the greatest healer, so you had to figure out how to work around that. And so like I never thought she was exactly new player friendly. And if she becomes a little less so and gets a little more skill out of this, I'm just kind of excited. But I mean, there's a balance. I'll agree with you to that.
Sure.
Gizmo, but
and at the same time too, she had probably one of the most diverse talent trees in the game, like as far as builds are concerned. So it's nice, at least from looking at it and playing around with it a little bit. It seems like she'll be able to keep that. I want to go a full Healy supporty build. I want to go a full assassin-y type build. I want to go a full long range. I'm going to send you to Hogwarts with my owl and, one hit type thing and take half your health away after it's scaled all the way across the map and just does silly amounts of damage.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she's got, and so I have to point this one out. Level 4, she has a completely new type of talent that we've never seen before. So, Celestial Attunement, Light of Elune, her heal, removes stuns.
Just stuns.
This is not
slow.
just stuns. And this is not a cleanse. You cannot pre-remove stuns. This person is stunned. Now I cast this and remove it.
I wonder how that works on something like Mosh Pit.
You would get,
presumably,
unless you were close enough, you'd get stunned again.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Oh, because it doesn't give them immunity. It just clears
because
it's
a pulsing stun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you
it
could
doesn't
enter it later, and yeah.
Yeah, it's not like a cleanse where you'd actually have the second to walk out if you got cleansed inside a mosh pit. It's a bam, the stun's gone type thing.
Is insane.
It's crazy. And if the stun is removed that way, Light of Elune can be recast for free within 3 seconds.
And this also, and again, she's less supporty now than she was, but with the current double support meta that's going on, it's like, well, that's like a free level 4 cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I would agree with you that she's less supporty than she was.
Well, it can be, depending on but I mean, even if you're going an assassin-y type build, being able to have
Sure.
But
she can
a little
build
less supporty in that one of her ultimates used to be able to do support things and can't now.
Yeah.
There's that, but yeah.
She has a lot more type of supporty talents.
Mm-hmm.
Like level 16 is pretty much all about heals of some sort. Like Mark of Mending, and this is pretty crazy, because when you pick this, all her basic attacks heal her for 2% of her max health.
So, and combine that with Shadow Stalk with the 50% increased attack speed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
And then allied heroes' basic attacks against targets with her Hunter's Mark will heal them for 3% of their max health.
Pretty good.
So, again, let's talk about, or go back to that talent where if she hits heroes a certain amount of times, that Hunter's Mark is now extended by 1 second.
Are we going to have to do hero rework podcasts on all of these? I really do feel like they're all new
potentially,
heroes.
yes.
Yeah,
and Nuther.
These two are huge. These are some of the biggest reworks we've seen lately.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. Or like a new talent called Elune's Chosen. Target an allied hero. For the next 5 seconds, you heal them for 200% of the basic attack damage you deal.
Wow.
Throw that on your tank or whatever that's taking the damage. Pop that Shadow Stalk, get the 50% attack speed. Boom. Next 5 seconds, and they're both 5 seconds long. 200%.
Sounds like a comp that might work in Lords of the Lane 7. Just throwing that out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And finally, I have to mention this one. It is the Starfall level 20 upgrade called Celestial Wrath. Enemy heroes within Starfall have Hunter's Mark applied to them.
So now a mosh pit inside of a Starfall is a...
I feel like this is like an
game
insta-win button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely ridiculous. Because Hunter's Mark, it's 25% vulnerability. Or 25% armor reduction, I guess we should say at this point.
Is how it is now, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Starfall's not tiny.
Nope. Not even close.
It's been reduced, but...
the range on it's been reduced.
Oh,
the cast, not the actual size. So...
Hear me out.
Wait, does
ETC starts... No. Hear me out. ETC starts the mosh pit. Okay. She throws this down on top of that. Diva self-destructs, throws the suit in there.
That's overkill. That's mean.
I know. I think you would just end the game. Like, I don't even think the game would continue. The core would just explode too. With all structures up.
Does Hunter's Mark? So that's 25% increased damage taken or armor reduction. Is that just from heroes though, or say if you threw this on like a boss scuffle, do they take increased damage from the boss?
You can throw your Hunter's Mark on bosses or objectives.
Yes, but does it? I'm saying like if you throw it on an enemy player, if the boss hits that enemy player, do they take increased damage from that boss?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they take increased damage from anywhere because their armor would be reduced by
like
25.
Hanamura has a surprising amount of games I've played that have come down to like a one payload escort that's ending by the boss in a boss scuffle, and that boss hurts. So especially like if it comes down to that and throwing the Starfall, like the enemy team just wouldn't stand a chance.
Or how about Battlefield of Eternity? She was already really good on that map to begin with, just because Hunter's Mark. And now that she's throwing that up and doing a ton more damage herself, she's going to be super good on that map now.
Oh, I completely agree. She's going to be. I definitely agree with you. I think we'll probably see her in double support comps running an Assassin-y type build.
Yeah.
And then
she'll
being
be
able to just
more damagey one.
Yeah, I totally get that. But I think there is potential for her to solo heal as well while still putting out halfway decent damage. So it'll be really interesting to see how she ends up getting used. And then finally...
Tyrande puts out. That's the name of the episode.
No more naming titles for you.
New Tyrande puts out.
Titles for you.
New Tyrande puts out. Give the crowd what they want.
Lots of damage.
Yeah.
So the poor Dahaka kind of overshadowed by the three new heroes in this PTR patch. He did get one really major change, and that was his Primal Aggression, the talent that literally 98% of everybody took. That allows his Dark Swarm to do extra damage against mercs and minions and stuff. That got removed. So now they're sort of building it into Dark Swarm. So Dark Swarm's damage is increased from 30 to 50. It's now universal to all units, no bonus damage to heroes. And the cooldown was increased from 9 to 10 seconds. So doing a little math, basically this makes him slightly slower at wave clear and maybe slightly more damage to everything else.
To heroes even?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I played a game with him just to kind of test it out, and it feels actually really good. It's pretty much what he needed. It takes him a little longer to clear a wave, which is good because he was just too good at a lot of stuff with the global.
I imagine his wave clear is probably still okay. I mean,
it is. Yeah,
it's still a wave clear-y ability.
Yeah, you just... His wave clear was too strong for the fact that he also had the global and he's a warrior.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So they pared it down a little bit, which was good. And you now actually have the choice of a level 1 talent. I think that's the big win here, is because at level 1 you really didn't used to feel like you had a choice. It was like you need to take this because Dahaka, you're a split push machine. And so you wouldn't be able to do that without that Primal Aggression talent. So now you can actually pick one of the cool level 1 talents. They made a few more tweaks for everything. And then they added a cool new level 13 one where called Primal Rage that gives you 1% basic attack damage for every essence you currently have.
So which is kind of hold on to them. Yeah.
Yeah. So potential for a more damagey Dahaka. So it's I say small change, but it's a very effective change, and I think that will really help him balance him out a bit more with that global that he has.
Agreed. And again, there are some other changes in here, but a lot of them went to the actual balance patch that came out today. And these, we'll just go through these real quick since they are live and some of them. So Cassia, Ball Lightning, got a decrease in damage from 200 to 180. Valkyrie damage increase from 190 to 225. That makes me super happy because I always liked Valkyrie.
And Valkyrie just got a cooldown reduction recently too. So they really seem to be trying to push that up a little bit because it's hard to land.
I feel like
it's hard to land.
I feel like this is going to become the next Thrall, where Valkyrie is going to become switch. Yeah, they're going to buff Valkyrie to be super strong. It's going to be like that forever, and then they're going to go to Ball Lightning.
Is it going to take them like a year and a half to do it this time, though, to make a switch? Anyway, go on.
Potentially. Level 1
Genji buffs.
Yeah, Genji buffs, which I'm happy for because I've been playing a lot of Genji.
Tiny ones.
Yes, tiny ones. Let's see here. Who else got big? Nova, Snipe Master, Snacks. I like snacks. Stacks are no longer lost when hitting non-heroic targets.
This is huge.
That is very big.
Huge.
This could actually make this talent viable because this talent was not worth taking because one miss would totally set you back. And a lot of times while you're shooting, there's a potential to hit something else, be it a minion or a merc or something that's around the area. So not losing it when at least you hit something else is really huge.
So you do still lose it if you whiff entirely.
If you whiff entirely, you still lose it, which...
Well, in that case, you're not a snipe master anyway. You're just
exactly.
Shooting bushes.
Let's see here.
I'm going to, just play Nova constantly.
Yeah, it's a...
Sorry, everyone.
I mean, she's already good, S tier on Hanamura.
Number one
she's
player
even better.
killer.
Number one player killer.
It's true. I carried a Hero League game or a Team League game with Nova on Hanamura.
I can see it.
I did, and most XP by several thousand.
Just
because I continually bribed the single healer camps, which are actually worth the most.
Right.
And then you get the heal on top of that, which Nova has a heal now. That's pretty awesome. It was good. It was good.
Zul'jin got a basic attack nerf, but level 13 talent Voodoo Shuffle. Oh, just a 60% cooldown reduction from 30 to 10 seconds. I don't even remember what Voodoo Shuffle did. But regardless,
I honestly don't play. Zul'jin's not my.
Is that the one where you can still walk while you're doing your voodoo dance?
This is an active.
I'll look it up one second.
But yeah,
keep going.
Multi can look it up.
But regardless, that's a big reduction.
It's a big cooldown reduction.
Varian here got some changes to some talents. Overpower, the reduced damage after parrying a basic attack, reduced from 25 to 20. King's Quest, increased basic attack damage bonus from completing all 3 quests from 30 to 45. Warbringer got added functionality, which now reduces the mana cost of charge by 50%. So,
guys, Blizzard, okay, guys, you're never gonna make Warbringer pickable. Like, you cannot do it. You cannot make Warbringer compete with Shield Wall. It is literally not possible unless you add some sort of stun component back into Warbringer. Like, there's zero reason to pick Warbringer over Shield Wall because Shield Wall is just that good. And it goes to show that Shield Wall wasn't picked before with the stun because Warbringer was just that much better than this already like incredibly powerful talent tier. So I would love to see, because there's only 2 talents on that tier. We need to make both of them viable somehow,
or a third one.
Or if there's, I need 2 viable before we add a third one.
You could just make the new one viable and leave Warbringer.
Well, then you might as well just have 2 again.
Yeah.
Speaking of talents, though, Voodoo Shuffle, activate to remove all current root and slow effects on Zul'jin.
Dang, every 10 seconds now.
Just roots and slows, so not stuns and whatever.
It'd be good against a Malfurion.
Chromie.
Or an Arthas.
Yeah, for sure. But I would like to, going back to Warbringer, I'd like to see... I think it'd be really cool to see some sort of a combo of, and I think people have talked about this a little bit. You pick Warbringer, it doesn't reduce the charge by too much. So maybe it's a 10-second charge still. But and maybe it also reduces the range of the charge a little bit as well. So that's your negatives, right? You just have a tiny bit of cooldown, and then it lowers the range of charge. But
4-second stun.
If you get overpower off on the target that you charge to, which you remember your charge, you have to be closer now because your charge is a smaller range. If you get overpower off and overpower is active on the hero when you charge them, then you get a stun.
Could be interesting.
That's really the only way I see Warbringer actually doing anything, is if they give it some sort of stun, or maybe even a root. Maybe give it a root component instead of a stun. But it needs to have some sort of more lockdown than it had before. And now that I think about it, a root actually sounds really good.
I like what Doth Life's kind of suggestion was that Lion's Maw stuns if they've been charged, or vice versa. A charge and then Lion's Maw hitting them, stunning them, or rooting them for like a few seconds window. That way it's not like just an easy click stun that makes this thing way overpowered again. Like actually having
still
to land a
probably
skill shot.
easy.
I mean,
to pull off, but with the drawbacks like TBK laid out, I could see that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want a stun then Lion's Maw, because the charge into Lion's Maw would be way too easy to hit, because you're literally standing next to them at that point. I think you should have Lion's Maw first,
apply the slow,
because that also kind of reduces the range. Actually, I don't know if the charge range is actually shorter than Lion's Maw. I don't remember, but yeah, that'd be about right.
But if I think reducing the charge range when picking the talent would help balance it out some, because that would then make you have to get a little closer, and you'd have to get the Lion's Maw off on the target and then charge them to get either the stun or potentially a root. I would be okay with a root too, because there's still some counterplay to a root because you can still act.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the biggest problem, was a point and click stun into a taunt that you could do 0 about, but you can actually be a little bit more proactive when you're not completely stunned and you're just rooted in place. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But it needs something. It needs something.
Yeah.
So real quick though, fun side note about Varian though. Our buddies over at the Instance podcast, it's a World of Warcraft podcast. I don't know if you've heard about it. They actually did a lore episode strictly on Varian Wrynn, and it was super interesting. I totally get the Logosh skin now.
Yeah, it's from
his
his gladiator.
It was Horde version, but yeah, he was a gladiator, and his personality was split, and Charlemagne was in 2 pieces, and just I don't know. There's a lot to it.
It's I started a few years ago collecting the comics, World of Warcraft comic series, and that's issue 1 starts out.
Yeah, he's in there
Rhaegar
with,
was
Rhaegar,
his
Valyra.
Well, Rhaegar was his owner. And he was with
Valyra was in the
Valyra
bits too, right?
and Brom Bearmantle, I think.
The druid guy.
Yeah. So it's a good story.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, Probius nerf on Pylon Overcharge. A little buff to Nullgate. Ariel nerf to bestow hope.
We got us Gizmo word for the night.
Bestow. Gosh,
that's
not the first word tonight, guys. Hey, I'm on the East Coast. It's late here. Anyways, so damage dealt to non-heroes reduced from 8 to 5%. Lily, goodbye damage, Lily. Nerfs to Cloud Serpent, Blinding Wind, and some talents going along with those. Lucio, healing boost, nerfed, and Heliotropics at 16, gone.
Okay, I have things to say about this. This is a huge nerf to Lucio. His heal amount's going from 3 to 2. That doesn't sound very
33%.
That's 30%.
But it is a huge nerf to his base healing.
Yeah, that's just a flat one, right? I mean, it's obviously
that's his flat. That's his base heal.
Does it affect his amp it up at all? Like, is that also reduced?
Yeah.
I mean,
by 33%.
It only buffs up his normal
base
heal.
Amount to the new.
This is a bad direction. They need to increase his healing amount, but decrease the rate
or the range.
See, I So my problem with this is that his early game healing is not that good right now, honestly. Like, yes, he can deny poke somewhat, but overall, there's more powerful healers than him early game. My biggest issue with him that the move speed he provides, I think, is a much bigger deal than his early game healing is. And level 16 Rejuvenescia, whatever. That's I think that's where his big boost comes from. And I was talking to Bakery on Twitter, and he was kind of saying the same thing earlier today. That's the 16 spike is when Lucio really gets out of control. And so I'd rather see his base healing left alone and nerfs more to that level 16 talent potentially. Nerfs to maybe sound barrier, which is absolutely insane right now because it does cool down over time, but other than Varian, there is zero way to counter shields right now. No other hero has a way to counter shields besides Varian right now. And so that makes sound barrier extremely strong. And then once you hit level 20, having that, even if the decay is faster on a 30-second cooldown, is absolutely insane for him. So I don't know. Heliotropics is an okay removal. I mean, it probably wasn't picked that much, but Lucio didn't need a blind on top of all the other stuff that he provides, like the movement speed and stuff. But I would definitely like to see his base healing left alone so that his early game isn't just trashed even more. Because I feel like, and I could be completely wrong, but I feel like this change may move him more into a secondary support. So you have
just there for the speed boosts more than
you're there
really
for the
anything.
Speed boosts. You're there for a little bit of poke mitigation, and you're there for the crazy shielding. And then you hit, and then at 16 you provide a whole bunch more. But you also take Tyrande or Uther or the slightly more pacified Lily or something like that.
Almost makes you wonder if that's kind of the direction they're thinking about going with this. Because I could see this Lucio and a new Tyrande.
Yeah, I don't like the double support at all.
Hate.
I don't love it either, but
it is not a fun meta. It is not a fun meta at all because it allows for sloppy play. And it also allows for drawn out things, and it also can stop it can allow for a lot of heroes to survive things they wouldn't have normally survived before, and it makes
super drags out certain objectives, like that game we had on Cursed Hollow.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Which one on Cursed Hollow?
It was one with Swift in them. I'm not sure if you were in on it, but we didn't have the double support and they did, and we just couldn't close it out against them basically ever. And so every little skirmish in the woods, they just won through sustain.
Yeah, and then it's to the point to where even if you have a good fight, they have enough healing to where they can just back out of anything that they want. It's like there's no punishing unless you catch someone out. I don't know. But the Lucio changes, this is one I predict will be changed to something else.
I hope so.
I like your idea of the rate of the healing.
Oh, the rate?
They could, it gives them throughout the idea of changing up the rate of the healing. Like, slowing the amount of healing, but not numerically, but the timing of each tick. They could play with that to any degree, really.
Sure.
Tune it exactly how they want it to be.
Let's see here. The last big one, Anubarak got some slight nerfs, which is deserved, even though I'm playing a lot of them right now. Super good.
Not a health nerf. That's weird.
And Rip Sonya.
Yeah, where's the health nerf, guys?
Yeah. Rip Sonya. She's done. Gonzo. Whirlwind cooldown increase from 4 to 5 seconds. It's good. It's done. She's garbage tier.
It's okay. You can diva in her place now.
Any big bug fixes here? I don't think anything.
Well, 2 are Abatha related, and he's a bug.
There you go.
There you go.
God.
Well done, Multi.
Very cool.
All right, so another long episode. Before we move on, wow, we got a lot left to do. Let's give some quick Patreon shout outs. You have been deemed worthy of bearing the Zord title. Welcome to the Zord Lords. All right, so I did this backwards. I was going to do this announcement before the sounder, but you know what? I do what I want. You don't tell me how to live my life. I'm going to make a slight change here just to keep things easier, and I'm scared to death that I'm going to skip someone because of the way I've been doing this. For Zord names, if you have your Patreon account is just your name or something, if you want a specific Zord name, message it to us because I've been kind of skipping a week trying to get a hold of people for it. And again, I do not want to miss somebody for that. So if not, it's just going to kind of be your name Zord, which is also sweet because it's a Zord name, which makes it cool automatically. So we got Jeffrey M, Jeff Zord, Yelly Zord, Maya Z, which is perfect for Maya Zord, Spam Zord, and Martin Zord. From last week there. So thank you guys very much. We do appreciate each and every one of you. You guys just help us to continue to, get things like the nice setup we got going for our live show, the pre-show, sweet animation, all of our cool stuff below the stream, and ketchup packets.
Tons of ketchup packets. Are you sure that Maya Z does not want to go by Maya Z Zord? Because
Maya Zord.
My Zord.
I don't know.
It could happen.
If you want to, let us know.
Gotta pronounce all the Z's.
All right. Lords of the Lane 6. This happened this last weekend.
Yes.
And our champions were the 2-time champions, the third coming of the Bakers, now the 3-time champions, potentially their last run. At least as the comp they are now. Yeah, with the teammate moving, they may not be able to do it. So, guys, spots open for Lords of the Lane 6. Those guys do insane amounts of research for this tournament.
Oh my gosh.
And it's super cool.
They're several steps ahead of the competition
at
this point. Just because they understand the comps they're taking. They understand what counters it, how to change up their game plan in the middle of a match. All kinds of things, man. I was talking to them between rounds a lot, and actually the first match that they were in against the Jeff Holt, let's go with that as the team name. They apparently was super interesting, and they played Cho'Gall and had to turtle all the way up until level 16, and it was apparently super close. Like they almost lost that first one. So,
well,
and then after that, as you saw, just really interesting comps after, and they
knew
the counters too. Oh, favorite was definitely Zul Chromie, no question. But
silly.
Again, I don't know if I should share it with you guys necessarily, but when I was talking to them in between rounds, because I was just in the background adminning this whole thing, Dunk was telling me that there's counters to that too, and they have those prepared. So they were way on top of it.
It's funny because there's always a comp that becomes the thing for each tournament, and it seems like everyone else is just a tournament behind. Because last time it was Zarya and Ariel. And so this time, like, everyone was trying to pick Zarya and get a combo with her.
And she's still good.
Yeah, she is. But they just find something that's like, nope, this is the new thing. So it just happened to be like Zul Chromie-ish. I think they went Zul Jaina one time or Chromie.
Right.
I don't remember. But and then also Cho'Gall. So huge congrats to them. Again, Sardonic, thank you so much for messing with the ping. It was good to have you out there. And impressive.
You did very well.
Impressive roots overall with that ping. Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, it did well. It's not like they didn't put up a fight. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love those tournaments. And we'll let you guys know when 7's coming up here. Probably in try and do them every other month. So probably in about 2 months ish here.
Yeah.
Any last comments for Lords of the Lane?
It was fun. You should do it next time.
You should. And
I'm talking to you.
I'm calling him out on the show. Bo, you got to get a team together for Lords of the Lane 7. I'm not letting you skip out on 7 here.
Bo and John.
That's the team.
That's the team. Calling them out.
It's happening.
I know he's gonna hear it because I know he listens. So,
There you
Bo,
go.
yep.
Yeah.
Everyone's watching.
All right. Let's get into the HGC. All right. So first up, I just want to say here real quick. I don't know if you were planning on talking about this, TBK, but the stuff that's been going on with Latin America, just due to time constraints, from last time I checked, no official response from Blizzard yet. They're still looking into it. I think we should, because I could talk on that for a little bit, push that till we have an official response.
Sure. Yeah.
Makes enough sense. Yeah.
Just as a background, there was some scuffle with how the Latin America qualifiers kind of panned out, and team sub for a player that their graphics card went out and such. And so there was some back and forth. It's on Reddit. You can kind of read about it. Blizzard stepped in very quickly to get the story, and so we're kind of waiting to hear back what happened, but good on them for responding very fast.
Correct.
Yeah. We'll hit this pretty fast because we've definitely got some cool listener questions we want to hit up. But the EU Open League, and so this is big, and because this is coming up in the next few weeks. The EU Open finals just finished, and Zealot Hots and Gangang, Team Gangang, are the first place teams, and will be facing B Genius and Synergy in the Crucible on May 27th. And so Team Zealot got first place, and so they get to choose either B Genius or Synergy to play against. And then the other gets the other one, and it's going to be a best of 7. So this is it's a legitimate one. Like they want to make sure there's no like you won't be able to cheese your way through it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's
going to be legitimate.
I am super excited to watch these because obviously there's a lot of money on the line, and I mean,
there's jobs on the line.
Yeah, jobs on the line, and it's a big opportunity to be in HGC.
So much. Yeah.
So you're gonna have. I mean, it's gonna be. I think it has the potential to be some of the most exciting matches.
I'm gonna be trying to watch both the NA
easy.
and the EU Crucibles if I can, because it's a big deal, because this is like the top quote amateur talent in EU and NA taking the bottom tier pro on, and it'll be a pretty big deal if one of those pro teams gets knocked out.
Well, and think of how fun it would be if we went all the way to the 7th game in the best of 7.
Oh, yeah.
And then the open team wins it out. Like, the hype could just be nuts.
Yeah,
it would be nuts.
Just insane. So that's the EU side. The North American Open Division playoffs take place next week on May 15th to decide the 2 North American teams who will go to the Crucible to fight, I believe, and I might be slightly off, but I believe it's going to be No Tomorrow and Naventic.
Yeah.
Unless something drastically changes. It's
I don't
think
think
No Tomorrow and Naventic in the NA Crucible.
Yeah, I was looking at it. I don't think it can change because Team Freedom, I think they're down 2 games behind Team Freedom, and they only play once.
Okay,
so it's Naventic, yeah.
So it's most likely the No Tomorrow and Naventic, which No Tomorrow is a pretty new team. So, I mean, maybe you expected it, maybe you didn't, but I don't think anybody expected Naventic to be in the Crucible.
Not initially.
Like it's crazy. It's still kind of crazy to think about.
Some, but yeah, it is pretty crazy.
So it'll be interesting to see if either of those teams ends up losing, because there's some really good talent in both NA and EU coming up against them. And speaking of the NA side, some really interesting news. Team 8 this Saturday for their 4:30 Pacific match versus No Tomorrow is having Dyrus sub in for them. And you might be saying, TBK, who the heck is Dyrus? Well, he's just a League of Legends pro who's doing the Try Hard for Good charity event right now, and just recently hit Masters in Hero League.
So is he leading that pack so far as well?
I think Voyboy is just a little bit further than
Ahead of
him.
him. Mhm.
He and Dyrus are both in Masters, and I think Skara is stuck in the Plat Mines right now. But this is pretty crazy because Dyrus is one of like the biggest League of Legends pros to come out of the game, and he's been streaming HOTS the last few weeks, and apparently he's been really enjoying it. And so he's going to be streaming scrims with Team 8 tomorrow, being Thursday, for several hours. And then he's going to be playing as a sub in the HGC with other pros.
I didn't even know you could do that. That's cool.
Apparently the rules allow for a sub. I don't know who he's subbing for, but it's still pretty crazy to me that
it is.
After a few weeks getting Master, this League of Legends pro is going to be playing in the pro scene for Heroes, even if it's just as a sub.
Surely his mechanics are through the roof and just fine, but yeah, to be able to play at that level and the teamwork that's needed to pull it off, it's gonna be interesting to see.
I think he's gonna do. Fine. I've been watching his stream more than the others, and like you said, his mechanics are great. His biggest weakness is just not knowing the game necessarily in certain situations, which I'm sure he is fantastic at taking calls from their shot caller. So I think
it'll be interesting to see how the synergy is and how he does, because he hasn't played on the pro level for Heroes yet. So I think it'll be a really interesting game to watch. Also of note, the HGC Week 10 that's coming up is going to remain on this current Genji patch. Mm-hmm. But Genji will be available this week. So I'm really hoping some team chooses to break him out, because that would be super fun to watch. The HGC playoffs on the 25th will be on the balance patch that is released today.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's how. So which is really cool. That means they're really they took a lot of that feedback into consideration, and they seem to be making an effort to keep on a more up-to-date patch for HGC, which I really like.
It's cool. That's cool. So you're missing the big news story, though, the Gale Force Esports bet.
Yes.
Michael Udall.
I was just.
I'm getting to that. Yeah.
Oh.
Because we just hit our big thing. So there wasn't a lot of. I would say there's not a lot of upsets this week. This week kind of played out how we expected it was going to play out. But yes, we have to talk about the Tempo Storm Gale Force game, because leading up to this, there was a bet of some sort for money and hair. And if Gale Force beat Tempo Storm, there was some sort of money on the line. But if Tempo Storm won, then both Michael Udall and Crowan would shave bald.
Is Crowan actually going to do it, though?
Both of them are going to do it.
It was supposed to happen today. Udall made a
Michael
post
Udall's
that he was doing it earlier today. There have been no pictures, and
that's because it hasn't happened yet.
Udall's is happening tomorrow.
Udall, I just got on his Twitter.
1 hour ago.
It's Crowan's.
1 hour ago, he tweeted, Michael Udall, the stream is today 9 p.m. Pacific. So
oh yeah. So in 15 minutes, but Crowan's is tomorrow.
15 minutes from this recording.
Yeah, Crowan's is tomorrow.
God, Crowan's is a big deal.
Is.
That's a lot of hair.
Yeah.
Trust me,
he's donating
cut that much. Mine wasn't as
with the school
robust, but mine was just as long, and it was an experience.
But yours wasn't iconic in the Heroes.
Crowan's
if I still had my long hair, I bet it would be iconic. It was beautiful, golden, luscious locks.
Was it an afro though?
No, it was not an afro.
Was it a giant amazing afro? Because that's Crowan's recognizable thing. He just shows up and you look for the hair and it's oh look, there's Crowan over there. It's kind of you can just pick him out of a crowd. So this good on them for sticking with their bet. It's It's hilarious. I think it's hilarious, and it's a fun little rivalry thing.
Oh yeah.
And it's two people who are very well known for their hair. So
I was gonna say Michael, he's got some hair too.
Yeah.
But not anymore, apparently.
yep.
In
So
about 15 minutes.
that'll be interesting. Now, yeah, that's HGC. There's not a whole lot I think that will be able to change in the standings coming up this next week. At least for the NA side, EU could still potentially have some changes, I think, from a seeding perspective. But I don't think there's a whole lot of changes that can happen for NA side, which hopefully means they'll be experimenting with some fun stuff this weekend.
Like having Dyrus play on your team.
Yeah, right. No big deal.
All right, and I am super stoked for your community content shout out this week because it's incredible.
yes.
Oh my gosh. This is pretty amazing. So on Reddit, they posted an enormous album of concept skins by Digital Gast. That's Ghost with an A, Gast. And it is jaw-dropping. I'm going to link this in chat, and of course it will be in the show notes. But I don't know if you guys got a chance to look through this.
Mm-hmm.
There is some like hippie Malfurion.
That's one of my
SWAT
favorites.
Team Johanna.
The Vandal Greymane. See, I want more skins in this game. Like I love the skins we're getting, but like I mentioned last week,
Stitches.
I want some more the crazy skins.
Oh yeah, the funny
like
ones.
the police ones.
Yeah.
Lifeguard Uther here is incredible.
He does a lot of crossovers too, though. So
yeah, the Lone Shark Dahaka could be sweet with the money and stuff swirling around him. Lionel Butcher.
We were talking a little bit earlier about, or it was I was reading a Reddit thread, like people wanting a Hearthstone crossover.
Oh,
because there's a lot of really cool Mean Streets of Gadgetzan skins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like the Cho'Gall. The Cho'Gall, I don't know what the dude's name was. But Don Cho'Gall.
Don
Honcho.
Cho'Gall. Oh man.
That
awesome. Name just writes itself. That's great. Yep, super awesome.
These are
unplayable card, but super awesome idea.
But yeah, so definitely check that album out, and Blizzard, check that album out if you haven't, because this guy's doing your work for you. Yeah, there's a lot of inspiration there. And then of course, Masters Class Episode 6, recorded on Sunday, went over some Hero League games on Hanamura and Infernal Shrines. I had a Falstad that did not know how to use the medic pack from the medic mercenary until I told him. And then he took the medic pack, would fly up to the team fight, and use it immediately when he was full health. So he did that 3 times. It was a little frustrating, but we won barely at the end, so it ended up being all good. But that's up if you want to watch some of the replay and analysis. It's always good stuff.
All right.
Sure.
So we have a lot of emails this week, and we're not going to be able to get to them all. But okay, so which one or two do you guys want to knock out today?
We should definitely talk Dagomes.
And then probably Coldam out the gate, just because in part we've been pushing it off. But
yeah,
there was also a lot of with the Lucio changes. My answers kind of changed in the past couple weeks.
Play Mouth. No.
Yeah. Honestly. Yeah, so Coldam's question we're referring to is just simply need tips for playing Malf and Lucio in Team League. And man, up until this point, I would have said one of the beauties of Lucio is just the huge amount of healing throughput you could put out there. But yeah, refer to above. Malf is still just one of my favorite heroes, period. And in my opinion, when it comes to playing him, while you can crank out the heals and make super cool plays with Twilight Dream and everything, it's honestly mostly about the roots for me. Just get really good at landing them, or zoning with them, or just all the little things that you can pull off. Know kind of what heroes you're best off trapping, and I mean use it as an escape, et cetera, et cetera. So like, and landing it's not so easy. I mean, it starts spreading slowly and from the center, so you almost have to totally center it on someone if you're going to land it and get that just huge route that you need exactly then. Otherwise, they might sidestep and stuff. So these are all pretty basic things that I'm sure Coldam just knows from playing. I mean, I've played with a guy. He's good. He's solid. But as far as like within Team League, obviously you're wanting to think through either of these heroes and make sure that they work with your comp, that you have a plan. And yet, Malf, in my opinion, isn't that map specific. Like, unless you really, really need the global from Brightwing, for instance, or something, I think he can just be played, in my opinion. So, but yeah, did you guys have anything to add to either of these?
Not for me personally. I play a little bit of Malf, but you are definitely our Malf player. I think he's probably one of your strongest heroes. So
he's maybe my main these days. So love him, just love him.
For Malf too. Multi kind of talked about comp. He can shine a lot more if you can combo him with somebody that allows you to more easily follow up your routes. Like a Stitch's hook. Stitches throws out the hook, you throw the roots down right at Stitch's feet, boom. You got somebody instantly rooted right there. Variant Taunt or anybody with the stun, boom, you combo that. In Team League, you should be talking to each other, of course. So you can combo that. I'm going to stun this guy, boom, you throw the roots down right as the stun goes, and you got him stunned and then rooted in place afterwards. So
fits into wombos too, Void Prison, Mosh Pit, all of the above,
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And Lucio's just, I don't know.
Lucio's, I would have had so much to say about Lucio before this nerf. Like, I was going to launch into this whole thing about how, but now I'm hesitant to, man.
Yeah, I don't know how hard he got hit, because I need to
33%.
Play around with him a little more. But it's definitely going to be, you're definitely going to feel it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so the Dagome emails, I had forgotten about these since they're not actually in the notes, but I do remember I actually answered those. I responded to them, but they are very good questions for us to kind of hit up in case other people were kind of going through the same thing. So I do not have them on hand, Multi. Do you have those?
I'm trying to get them now. TBK, do you?
I've got it pulled up.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So list it up.
I did put in the notes that they're going to leave them in the thing, because
Yeah,
they are fairly long.
I don't see them in our email. They got deleted.
Have they been moved to?
They're there.
Well, either way.
It's called How to Fix QM.
Okay, there we
go.
Yeah. So he basically just said the worst thing about quick match is the wacky comps we run into all the time. And I can kind of agree with that, right? How about allowing us to pick up to 3 or maybe even 2 heroes for quick match versus the usual 1? That way players can help the matchmaking by being a bit flexible. For example, you have a quest to play a StarCraft hero. You could queue up as Morales and Hammer, because I like them both. And now the matchmaker has the flexibility to pick either Hammer or Morales, depending on what comps it needs to throw together to give you some kind of a semblance of a team.
Mm-hmm.
I love this idea. I mean, we even talked about something very similar to this a few episodes back.
Well, I think a while
idea.
back we actually almost did this exact thing. When was it? I don't know if it was whenever you played random, when you could select a role, if we had mentioned that, but just the fact, because I remember talking about it for me, because it would help me out, because I get stuck playing the same. I get a small rotation and it's hard for me to branch away. So I would love to be able to pick a warrior, an assassin, and a support, and be okay with, just do whatever you need to fill the comp, and I can, practice those heroes.
This also feels more viable now than ever with 2.0, in my opinion, because you could think of these as like quick match loadouts. Like you would have a separate place where you could choose between preset selections of heroes that you have. So you could say, all right, well, I've got my flex set, or I wanted to practice one of these 3 tanks, and so you click on your tank one. Like, there's so much that could be done with this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it could fix the multi-class problem. in a lot of ways. Because, yeah, you could make sure or have a much higher chance of getting a warrior on your team if you went Varian.
Mm-hmm.
If the matchmaker deemed it so. Because then, oh, cool, I got a warrior. I can go warrior 2, and we can have more lockdown. Or I can go Colossus Smash or Twin Blades. And I have that flexibility now because there's an actual warrior on my team. So I love it. I don't know how hard it would be to implement.
Yeah.
It would probably be a lot of work on the matchmaking algorithm side of things, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see any drawbacks to this.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're basically just saying, okay, I could still queue up as just one if I wanted to.
Right.
So that I can make sure I played this one. But a lot of times for me personally, I'll throw 3 into my list.
Yep.
Sure.
That's right.
And play any one of those. No big.
Pick your next 3 that you're about to level on.
Yeah. And if
Yes.
I want
Back
to play
into
and I'm playing with 4 other people, we just each pick one, have our team comp that we want, and just go.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't see any downsides to that, and I think it would help the matchmaker a
It'd
lot
probably
too.
speed up the matchmaker.
Oh yeah,
Oh, for sure.
Honestly, they could just fill games faster. You're a genius, Dagome. You're a genius.
Genius.
All right, and his second question. I have that ready.
Oh yeah, I do have him
Okay.
pulled up
Okay.
now. I've got him pulled up. Now.
I was just waiting. I figured you guys would try to.
I've got it, and it's a little bit longer here. This is the one about the kids, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he's in a situation where he's got 2 kids, ages 8 and 6, and they're really into HOTS. And they play as a group of the 3 of them versus beginner AI, and they have a good time. The mode is perfect for them. They love it. They like it. They liked it before 2.0, but now 2.0 really has them hooked. They've got a ton of the new heroes with the bundle, which is awesome to hear. And then he has as well. They understand the gem system well, but now they want to collect everything. So that's great.
There goes your money, Dagome.
You just summarized that thing, but it was just as long as the actual email.
No. So okay. The questions though gets into So there's the play with friends quest. That's where you're required to play against other people. They did a couple quick match games, but it's basically a guaranteed loss just because they're young kids, and the other people on the team weren't very happy to be in that situation. But the kids still want, all the bikes and everything coming with the. I'm guessing he's referring to the Nexus Challenge 2.0 there as well. And so his question is kind of, how do I earn those bikes and all the Nexus Challenge 2.0 rewards without screwing with any other random players and kind of causing auto losses? He's thinking about putting together a team of dads to play on the kids' accounts to accomplish this for them, or maybe group with some people that are willing to lose a few games really quickly. This is just honestly one of those small things that I hadn't really thought about for the Nexus Challenge necessarily. I think that you're onto the right idea here, Dagome, and that maybe you just I actually like the idea of having groups of people that are willing to lose a couple games. Not really quick. Certainly let the kids get in there and have fun and everything. I wouldn't just throw the game like you see some hardcore Overwatch people coming over and doing. But just the idea of having everyone, like at least 2 other partners with you that don't really care. I mean, they're just in it to get some of the games as well. I think you could probably find some people in our Discord that are in a similar boat, just trying to get the games in. So, I like that idea the best. And
Use it as a learning experience.
Yeah,
for the
exactly.
kids too. There's a lot of stuff you can explain, even if you end up losing, that could help them improve. I mean, 6 and 8-year-olds, yes. I mean that's fairly young for video games and stuff, but at the same time, if you practice something, regardless of your age, you'll get better at it.
Yeah.
So it's just all about helping them understand, say, okay, this is why we lost or why this happened or whatever, and no big deal.
Yeah, and it sounds like he came up with a solution, but it's because I'm sure there's probably other people going through this as well. The things to keep in mind, it's going to be unfortunate if you are just queuing up for the random people getting in game, but it's quick match. MOBAs just inherently are not designed for that young of kids But that
Yeah.
by no means means that they cannot absolutely enjoy this game as much as we do. I liked your dad team idea, and I had mentioned, I personally, if somebody posted that in Discord, like, hey, anybody want to play quick match with me and my kids real quick, help me get this quest? Sure. I don't care about losing quick match games. I don't remember who it was, but I had played with somebody and their 6-year-old before, and it was actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
Watching them go around. Like, no, over here.
And dude, I will totally join your dad team, but my kid's a little young.
Yeah.
He or she is just 3 months along in the womb, so really bad at the game. Like that kid doesn't even get it at this point.
Yeah.
Total noob.
Yeah, and it's and for this quest they cannot go against AI. It has to be quick match. So this isn't going to be a typical thing. After you get this, you can go back to the AI to help them develop their mechanical skills for the game. But yeah, I mean, if don't feel bad about doing it in quick match. Like people sure may get butthurt, but it's quick match.
Exactly.
But it should be easy enough in a community like ours, I would think, to find people willing to help out if anyone else finds himself in that situation. So, all right. So, longest episode number 3. And what we thought was going to be a short week, or short news week. Multi, where can we be reached?
Oh, we can be found in-game by typing /join /LOTS, or you got our Discord, which is our chat, stick to the top of our Twitter at Lords of the Storm. We're also on twitch.tv/Lords of the Storm, live Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Central. And we also have a Facebook page, facebook.com/Lords of the Storm podcast. You can email us with feedback or questions, lordsofthestorm@outlook.com, like Dagome did. And you can also, if you want to, leave us positive reviews out there, like 5-star iTunes. That kind of stuff actually really makes a huge difference. I stress this every week, but I never quite get to stress it enough. It really is a big deal. And perhaps an even bigger deal is if you go to our Patreon at patreon.com/Lords of the Storm and just give any amount that you possibly can for what we do here. It's more than appreciated. Like you guys don't even know. I could spend another hour just talking about this. Should I just launch into this? Actually, you know what? I've got a better idea.
3-hour episode? Yeah.
Ever since we've been talking about that fruit striped gum back there, I think we need to have an episode where it's only 90s nostalgia.
Okay.
That's it. Does that sound okay?
I got my Pikachu hat I can wear.
I think we can do that.
Yeah.
I got my memorabilia. This
kind of looks like a
break out all my
shirt.
old Ninja Turtles action figures.
That it does.
Pretty good.
Oh yeah. Okay. I was just
Fair
curious.
Enough. All right. You can also find us individually, myself on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook at GizmoZord, as well as most Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. Central over at twitch.tv/ConvertToRaid for Convert to Raid Presents, the World of Warcraft podcast featuring all things Blizzard. Multi, where can you be found?
I can be found on Twitter at Multizord, and there's another show out there called The Cavalry. It's an Overwatch show, and I was on it this week, so check that one out. It's at The Cavalry Show on Twitter, and it's just search for The Cavalry. You'll find it.
And TBK?
You can find me on Twitter at TBKZord and twitch.tv/TBKZord, where I stream occasionally. And, of course, Master's Class most Sundays at 7 Pacific, 9 Central Time.
All right. And we want to give special thanks to our patron producer, Mr. Ouroboros Zord. I'll never get TBK Zord and Ouroboros Zord right in the same show. We always appreciate the help. We'll see you guys next week. Make sure to head over, see Udall get his head shaved. Stick around for the post-show game.
or the VOD.
Or the VOD. Whatever. We'll see you guys next week. Same place, same time. Have a good one.
Enough. I shall do no more.